Hi everyone. So in this video, I just wanted to talk a little bit about a planner I made for you that more appropriately reflects the planner document that I changed and assigned. So I've created a sample one and I want to talk about some of the resources I used. So the first thing I wanted to show you was just for the introduction. We're going to follow the same model we did when we wrote the personal essay. You're going to write a hook, you're going to write a thesis statement, and then you're going to, for the background, make this section all about connecting the hook to the thesis statement. So first thing you want to do is come up with a hook. And there are some sample strategies for doing that in our D2L. I have the article pulled up. This is something that actually comes from the content section. So if you're, whoops, I just did the wrong thing. If you're on our page and you choose content, there is a section called modules, English Common Modules right here, English Common Modules, the essay writing module. If you click on the essay writing reference guide, there is an article in there about hooks and transitions. So hooks, if you're trying to figure out what type of way to get people interested, you can set the scene, you can ask a rhetorical question, you can throw out an example, you can drop some knowledge, you can provide a blueprint. All of these things are appropriate. If you look at mine, I think this is actually a really good one for you all to maybe follow. I include a rhetorical question. So the article that I picked, I did a slightly different one, just so you wouldn't have an exact model of the paper you're about to write. I did one of the articles that we used when we talked about tone. So I have chosen to summarize and respond an article called Great Art Doesn't Care About Fairness, Equality, or Identity. I will link that in the announcement in case you want to look at it. But that's the article that I'm focusing on. So it talks about those subjects, and this is the rhetorical question that I asked. So I started with a rhetorical question, and then remember the way we constructed our introduction before was to write our hook, and then to write our thesis statement, and then to connect it and write this part last. So as far as the thesis statement, that's blank. I will paste it in here in a minute, but I just wanted to show you how I figured out what my thesis statement was. My thesis statement is going to be my overall evaluation of the summary response that I have, of the responses that I've made. So I'm just going to summarize all the things I said. And we talked a little bit about it in class, but one thing I would recommend doing is just mentally looking over your main responses and making a tally, maybe on scrap paper, maybe just in your head, of the places that you agree and the places that you disagree. And you can use pluses and minuses. Here, I say that James Campbell's concern is valid. That is something that I agree with, so I have a plus. When I look down here at my next point, here I'm disagreeing, so we got a minus. And then down here, definitely disagreeing. So basically 2 minuses. That tells me that overall, while I think that Campbell has 1 point, I disagree with him most of the time. So what I'm going to do in my thesis statement is I am just going to summarize how I feel. Yeah, so one thing I noticed about this is it is a little bit wonky in terms of, here we go, in terms of formatting it. So if you're struggling with the formatting, it's okay. I just want to be able to see what you wrote. So don't drive yourself crazy with the formatting. Okay, so overall, I agree with James Campbell's principle that art should not be censored. That's a summary of my first point. But I think he's overreacting to current appropriate cultural shifts in the art world. That's a summary of my next 2 points. To get to those points, just like we did in class today, I made a list. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. I made a list of points that where I agreed and where I disagreed. And then I incorporated those as my topic sentences. If you would like the list we worked on in class today, I have included it right here. in our course, in the announcement. You can click on it and download it. And it's a list of points that we discussed, a list of things that we agreed with and disagreed with in terms of the Chris White article. And you can certainly use those as a starting point for these topic sentences. For the summary, I went through and I wrote my opening citation sentence that includes my rhetorical information, the year, the author, and the title. And then here, I just pulled sentences. My article had about 6 paragraphs. I think yours has about 11. So you're going to want to go through. One thing I did was I went through every paragraph and kind of took down a quick notes that were a summary of it. And then I looked at my list of those sentences and decided what belonged as a major detail and what I could leave out. And my last point is a 1-sentence summary of the author's concluding paragraph. And then I'm just going to look at one body paragraph in depth. I'm going to look at the second one. Like I said, I just pulled over that idea directly from my brainstorming, made it a little prettier, but that idea is something I disagreed with. Then I have 2 pieces of evidence. I've gone ahead and I've cited them. 2 pieces of evidence that I think speak to the point that I am discussing. And then I have here in this paragraph, my outside article. Up here, I included 3 pieces of evidence from the first article, but I didn't include an outside source from my database article because I didn't think it applied. But I did think it applied here, so I added in this quote. And then down here, I just responded. I responded a lot because I had a lot of feelings about this article. Yours can be a little bit less. But that's the response that I had about the point that I'd been making. The conclusion, y'all can do that on your own. And then APA formatting wise, I filled out this section. These are the in-text citations. And then here for the references, I only have the one reference. I have both references. This is the reference. I pulled this directly from SIRS. I think most of y'all used EBSCOhost. EBSCOhost has a citation function that will make the citation in APA 7. And we also have the reference citation that you can copy and paste from the article where it's linked in our course under the course readings. And then I also got this from a database, so I pulled the citation from there. So same thing for y'all. For your outside source, you can go back to EBSCOhost and use the citation generator there. In fact, you can go back to your database exploration worksheet because you should have a perfect copy of it already fixed if there were any errors that you can just cut and paste from that assignment.